We've calculated what's the most damage Pokemon can deal after hundreds of turns, but what if we only had a minimal setup? And you better not fall asleep again. Hello everyone, my name is Roberto Christian Torres Cruz Monterrey del Monte Gonzalez Garcia, but you may call me Robby for short. And today, we're going to answer this question. What's the most damage Pokemon can deal in a singular turn? I used to tell myself that I didn't like math, but here I am nerding out about math calculations in a kid's game. To answer this question, we need to research a couple of things. First, we need to learn how to calculate damage. Luckily for you, we already learned how to do that. In short, this is the equation used in modern games to calculate damage. We are going to replace the variables in this equation with the respective values that we find during our research. I tried finding out which Pokemon has the highest attack stat, since we wouldn't be able to use moves like Power Trick or Baton Pass because these would require 2 or more turns. Before the Indigo Disc DLC, the Pokemon with the highest available attack was Ice Rider Calyrex at a base of 165. Meaning its highest possible attack at level 100 is 471. I started exploring a scenario with a level 100 Calyrex against a level 1 Noibat, similar to the Shuckle answer from Generation 6, which I also covered in my previous video. I looked up which of its moves has the highest base power and found Glacial Lance with 120. I thought this was perfect! This Calyrex form is an ice type, Glacial Lance is an ice type move, I could recreate the Shuckle answer on a smaller scale. We can have Trevenant use Forest Curse on the Noibat to add an additional grass type, making it 8 times weak to ice. Then have Medicham use Skill Swap to switch Calyrex's ability with Pure Power, doubling its attack. We then give a Choice Band for Calyrex to hold to further raise its attack by 50% and have it terastallize into an ice type for a stat boost of double the power. And that gives us a total of 854,630. But we can do better, right?
It's not just a boulder, it's a rock. A rock!
I searched the list of every Pokemon move and ordered it by highest base power, and found a couple of realistic options: Meteor Assault, Rock Wrecker, and Head Smash, all of which have a base power of 150. Meteor Assault is the signature move of Sirfetch'd, who isn't available in Scarlet and Violet. Rock Wrecker can be learned by Rhyperior, who is available, but Head Smash can be learned by Rampardos, who is also available and has an even higher attack. With optimized stats, Rampardos reaches a max attack of 471. With Head Smash's base power of 150, I needed a Pokemon who is 4 times weak to rock. Luckily for us, we have an answer in Delibird, who also has the lowest possible defense of 4, just like Noibat. We'll take the scenario with Calyrex and apply the same principles using these 2 Pokemon. Since Trevenant won't be helpful, we need another Pokemon that will further increase the damage somehow. I searched for moves that raise attack, and the 2 best options I found were Decorate, which is Alchemy's signature move, and Spicy Extract, which is Scovillain's, both of which raise a target's attack by 2 stages. Everything else would stay the same. After running the numbers for this scenario, we get a total of 1,068,252. I told myself, we're good. This is it. This is the most damage we can deal in 1 turn. And then I remembered that Counter exists. I used Pokemon Database's Move Searcher to find out which Pokemon could learn Counter. Counter takes the damage dealt by the opponent and doubles it back to the attacker. Fortunately, Delibird can actually learn Counter. This time though, we'd be adding a Focus Sash for Delibird to hold and then have it use Counter to deliver double the damage back. Let's take the previous answer of 1,068,252 and multiply that by 2 because of Counter, which means that the final result is 20. Counter did 20 damage. Counter takes the actual damage dealt, not the hypothetical damage dealt, and doubles it back. Delibird's total HP of 11, minus the 1 HP it retained due to its Focus Sash, means that Rampardos actually dealt 10 damage. I didn't realize that Counter didn't work this way. My mistake. I went back to researching after my abysmal mistake and consulted Cerebi's list of Pokemon with the highest attack. The only 2 Pokemon with a higher attack than Rampardos are Black Kyurem and Attack Form Deoxys. They both have a signature move with a base power of 140. Freeze Shock and Psycho Boost, respectively. We'll be using Black Kyurem, since Freeze Shock is actually a physical attack. Deoxys has a highest possible special attack of 540, but there's no way to double that amount with an ability, like Pure Power does for attack. We'll use the parameter from the first scenario, a level 1 Noibat with Forest Curse, a skill swap to Pure Power, and holding a Choice Band. After running the numbers, we get a total of 1,020,345. That's lower than the previous answer. But I still have one more proposal. Why was that answer just about 48,000 hit points shy of the highest number we've gotten so far? Black Kyurem has a higher attack than Rampardos, but the base power of 140 is 10 less than Head Smash. That leads me to believe that the base power of a move is proportionately more important in dealing the most damage than a Pokemon's stats are. And that makes sense. Think of my previous video about the most damage, where the base power was 5050, or think about other moves with high power. If they have 100% accuracy, they're either broken or exclusive to a legendary. Otherwise, they tend to have less accuracy, like picking Fire Blast over Flamethrower. Let's go back to Rampardos versus Delibird and that counter fiasco. That scenario seemed hypothetically successful because we maximized what each Pokemon could do within a single turn, including Delibird. I shuffled the positions of the Pokemon, having Rampardos with Delibird on the player side, and Medicham with Grimmsnarl on the opponent side. I switched Scovillain for Grimmsnarl because Swagger has the same effect as Spicy Extract, of doubling attack, but directed at the opponent instead. Grimmsnarl also has Prankster, which will guarantee it moves first. Finally, Delibird will use Helping Hand on Rampardos to boost the power of its next move by 50%. After landing a critical hit, the most damage a Pokemon can deal in one turn is 1,602,366. Can you come up with a better answer?
Get in the comments!
And subscribe for more Pokemon content coming your way. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate you being here. Bye!